Welcome back to Lures and Laughs. I'm your host, Ian Whitaker, and with me today is my roommate, Luke Davis. How are you doing today, Luke?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Pretty good. All right, first question. Starting out, I have to ask, how long have you been fishing?
Pretty much my whole life. I've been fishing with my dad since, as long as I can remember. I've got pictures from his Facebook of me fishing at like 3 years old. So
Well,
my
you
whole life.
started real young. I feel like most people don't really get out though on the boat that young. But my next question was gonna be, who got you into fishing and what made you enjoy it so much?
Well, so I started at a young age with my dad. We kind of got lucky. He was in the car business, so he always kind of made acquaintances, so to say. Like he always was on the lookout for things that would positively help him. So when he found customers and stuff that had ponds and stuff on their land, he would give them a discount or whatever, make friends, just be friendly, how salespeople are. And so growing up, outside of the Little Red, which is one of my favorite places to trout fish, I've always been fishing on private ponds or private lakes. And I've given my fair share to public places, but public, unless you're on like a boat and you got some honey holes saved, it's private pond fishing is always the best. And so I started fishing with my dad at a young age. He's the one that really taught me everything, to start. But then a big part, I would say, the summer after my sophomore year of high school, I was fishing. I've been a part of this lease for a long time since I was like 7 years old, and my uncle, it was my aunt's husband. They divorced, but I still call him my uncle. He's still family to me. Me
Yeah.
and him would go fishing probably 5 times a week that summer. It was consistent almost every day, and mostly catfishing. But of
And that was
course,
on the lease?
yeah, it was like on the big lake,
What
and
kind of fish can you catch there?
oh my gosh, dude, it was crazy. Literally everything. I could probably name. I can name them off if you want me to. The coolest fish I've caught bowfin out of there. I've caught gar.
Hmm.
But mostly, like, if you're just gonna go out there with some lures, maybe some bait, you're gonna catch catfish. There's a lot of catfish out there, but I mostly just used lures. So I'd catch bass, crappie, and then some brim. Those are pretty much your main ones.
Have you only ever fished locally, or have you ever been on a trip somewhere else, out of the state?
I've gone. I've gone to Mammoth Springs before to trout fish. Mostly locally. I have deep sea fished off the coast of Alabama. Every time I go to the beach somewhere, I fish there, which
The
is
Gulf of Mexico.
yeah, it's so it's I fished Florida off of Port St. Lucie, kind of out there, Jensen Beach. So that was the Atlantic. I kind of go fishing really anywhere I can. Everywhere I go somewhere on the beach, we always go fishing there.
Did you think you'd like deep sea fishing more than, ponds, lakes, river, so forth? Or, is the home stuff kind of your territory?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. There's a mixed vibe with it. So the uniqueness, when you go deep sea fishing, you literally could catch anything. I caught red snapper, king mackerel, tuna, and then we almost caught a cobia. Those are like you never see those. Those are stuff you see on like YouTube
Yeah, I've
videos.
never heard of it in my life.
And so, but when you fish at home, there is no uniqueness factor. You might catch something you never usually do, but it's always the same like eight type of fish. But there's a home type of factor, a nostalgia type of factor when you're fishing, back in Arkansas finding stuff. And, like it's probably more fun to deep sea fish. The fish fight harder, they're bigger, they taste better, they're more unique, but it's really expensive.
I
And
feel
I
like
don't,
if you don't do it a lot, it's kind of like a fun thing every once in a while,
it's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Chocolate cake may be your favorite dessert, but you don't want to eat it every day.
That's exactly right. Give me some Nutter Butter cookies sometimes.
Yeah. Where has been the best place you fished in Arkansas? I'm gonna say outside of the lease because you'd probably say that.
That's 100% the
Second
best.
best.
So I would say, like, going off of the parameters of just me catching fish, is probably the Little Red. It's mostly trout. You can catch brown trout in there. You catch rainbow trout, which, I know that's not very unique because it's just trout, but it's such good fishing in there that on cold winter days or when they're spawning, you could cast out and count to three and you'll have a trout on. It's crazy. It's like the best spot to go if you're maybe like not an experienced fisherman and you just want to go catch some fish, you know.
Where's that located in comparison to Fayetteville? Is that a lot closer to Little Rock, you'd say? Maybe in the middle?
Yeah, so the Little Red flows into the White River.
And that's not too far from
No, the
us.
Little Red starts from the Greers Ferry Lake Dam and Heber Springs, which is where I used to live. And it starts there and goes all the way through Pangburn and through Searcy. It's probably about an hour north of Little Rock, give or take. Probably about 2.5, 3 hour drive from here. It goes into Searcy, Arkansas, and then flows into the White River. So it's kind of, I wouldn't say North Arkansas, but it's kind of mid north, if that makes sense. It's probably about an hour, hour and a half north of Little Rock.
No, that's not too bad. And before we sign off, what has been your favorite fish to catch?
It's got to be bass, man. I love catching catfish. You know, it's probably my favorite Arkansan fish to eat, and they put up a big fight, but it's kind of boring. Bass, there's just a cool factor about it, man. To go out there and cast some lures out, they fight so hard that, I mean, when you think of fishing, you think of bass. That's, you know,
Yeah, that's pretty much all I knew to think about when I first started fishing. I just thought, bass, everyone, everywhere has bass, it seems.
it's just the most fun fish to catch. They fight so hard, they can get huge. And when you catch a big bass for the first time, it's like hunting. You start kind of getting that adrenaline going. You kind of shake a little bit.
Well, I've enjoyed having you, Luke. It has been fun, everybody. This is your host signing off.